The only word I can think of to describe this NCAA indoors is insane. The level of competition was tooth and nail, and yet somehow athletes managed to climb above and throw at consistently incredible times across the board. The day for the sprint started out with the women's 60 meters, and the women were ready to go. Just the day before, Julie and Alfred ran the collegiate record in 6:96, and today she was coming for the gold. She started the day off right for the sprints, increasing her collegiate record to an incredible 6:94. She now ties Aaliyah Hobbs' 6:94 earlier this year for the world lead, as well as becoming the second fastest woman of all time in the 60. The women's 200 was just as exciting, if not more so, for the level of competition. The day before, the favorite in the women's 2, Favor Ophelia, ran the second fastest collegiate indoor 2 of all time in 22:11. Behind her, the field wasn't incredibly close, with Alfred in 22:38, but things weren't going to stay that way. The gun went off, and Alfred got out to an incredible start and was able to hold the lead to the line and ran 22:01. This shatters Abby Steiner's 22:09 collegiate record, now making Alfred the fastest woman in collegiate history in both short sprints. This year is looking incredibly exciting for Alfred, and the women's short sprints in general. We can't forget that Ophelia just ran the now third fastest time ever in the 2 indoors, and she's ran under 22 outdoors. I think Ophelia is going to be Alfred's biggest challenger, and that this outdoor season is going to be incredible on the women's side. Alfred is definitely in an incredible position to beat Sha'Carri Richardson's collegiate record in the 100 and Abby Steiner's collegiate record in the 200. There's no telling what this season holds as of yet for Alfred, but it seems so far like it's going to be a special one. The men's 60 brought the same spark that the women's 60 did. Michael Williams, the collegiate leader in the 100 last year and the second fastest man in the 60 in college this year, wasn't able to compete at the national championships, but the collegiate leader Terrence Jones was able to make his NCAA indoor championships debut. Jones was set to run the 60 last year along with Williams, but a false start from both Jones and Williams in the heats kept them out of the finals. Jones was ready to claim what was his this year though. Last year, Jones had a very controversial season in the 60. His personal best from the season was 6:45, with a very suspicious start that could have been a false start. There was a huge asterisk next to Jones's name up until this year. When at his debut at the Big 12 Championships, Jones ran 6:46 and 6:48 to take the conference championship. At the NCAA Indoor Championships, Auburn transfer from Tennessee Favor Ashe was there to take on Jones in the 60, but pulled out of the start list on the day of the finals. Jones went on to win the NCAA gold with 6:46, only 1/100th of a second off his collegiate record, and incredibly almost a 10th of a second in front of his closest competitor. Matthew Boling has had a very up and down collegiate career. He's run incredible times, but there have been many times where Boling was slated to win the NCAA championships in his event and was dropped. A lot of the time, the likely culprit to this looked to be Boling's tightness that led to energy loss down the final straight. After this indoor, it looks like the problem may be behind Boling, and he looks ready to throw out some truly incredible times. Although Boling didn't come into the NCAA championships with the fastest PR, and he didn't run the fastest 200 in the semis, both of which are normal for Boling, he was able to put together the performance of his life in the finals. Boling got out to an incredible start, and around the final curve and down the straight, Boling maintained his composure and crossed the line in 2011. Second place was from the second faster heat, Tarsis Orogot, in 2020. Orogot led the NCAA the whole season and looks ready for a good outdoor season, but Boling looks more ready than ever to take on the world in the 1 and 2 this season. The men's 400 was a hero story, and quite frankly, I want to make a separate video altogether for this race alone. Let me know in the comments what you think. I've been following Elijah Godwin throughout his entire NCAA career, and it's all come to a crux in this moment. Godwin actually had a near-death experience with a javelin in 2019, which makes his story all the more remarkable. Although Godwin made the Olympic team in Tokyo and the US team in Oregon, he's generally struggled to live up to those marks during the NCAA season. Indoor has never been his bread and butter, but he's always grinded through into outdoors, where last year he received a bronze medal in the 400 at the NCAA Outdoor Championships for his efforts. This year though, it was clear that Godwin wanted something different out of his final collegiate track season. Godwin was consistently throwing out elite times up to the SEC Indoor Championships, where he managed to win gold in 44:75 in a world-leading time. Godwin came in as the man to beat at the NCAA Championships, and he managed to hold off the competition by meeting his world-leading time at the SEC Championships, another 44:75. I personally can't wait to see how Godwin performs come to the Outdoor Championships. Time-wise, the women's 400 may have been the best performance of the NCAA Championships. Britton Wilson ran what would have been the indoor 400 world record if it wasn't for Femke Bowl earlier this season, which I've already made a video on if you're interested. Wilson came through the 200 behind Talitha Diggs, but turned it on hitting the curve and never broke stride until the finish. Wilson finished at an incredible 49:48, only 2/10 of a second behind Femke Bowl's world record, making Wilson now the second fastest woman in the indoor 4 of all time. Last but not least, the 4x4s. Both the men and women's 4x4s were won by Arkansas, but the women's 4x4 was truly something to behold. The closest time was Texas at 3:25.67, almost 4 seconds behind the Razorbacks. Arkansas came through the line in a world-leading collegiate record of 3:21.75, taking over 2 seconds off the previous collegiate record, also held by Arkansas. In my opinion, this was the greatest collegiate indoor championships I've ever seen. The amount of collegiate records, American records, and close to world records was something unheard of. The times come the NCAA outdoor season in June are going to be insane.
Thanks for watching.